Stop scrolling, take a breath, because what I'm about to reveal today could completely change the way you look at the coins hiding in America. Imagine this: millions of tiny pieces of history sitting silently in pockets, drawers, piggy banks, and forgotten jars, yet among them are 6 extraordinary Roosevelt dimes that carry stories deeper than their small size. Tells you at first glance they look ordinary, silver-colored, humble, and familiar, but beneath that simple surface lies a hidden world of rarity, craftsmanship, and American heritage. Picture a coin that traveled through countless hands, survived decades of change, and still holds secrets that even experienced collectors struggle to fully understand. Each of these 6 dimes represents more than just money. They are time capsules, shaped by politics, war, innovation, and the evolving identity of the United States. You might have held one without realizing its true significance, felt its weight, brushed your thumb across its edge, and never suspected that it could be part of a legacy worth millions somewhere in circulation. One of these coins could be closer to you than you think, waiting patiently to be discovered today on World Rare Coin. We dive deep beyond surface value, beyond casual collecting, and into the heart of what makes these 6 Roosevelt dimes legendary, emotional, powerful, and unbelievably rare. This is not just a video about coins. This is a journey into hidden American treasure, where every detail matters, every curve tells a story, and every dime could change your life forever. The year is 1966. America is in the throes of change. The Vietnam War is escalating. Pop culture is exploding with color and sound. And in the quiet, sterile halls of the United States Mint in Philadelphia, a routine operation is about to go cataclysmically wrong, an error that would lay dormant for decades before exploding onto the numismatic scene as one of the most valuable coins ever conceived. To understand the gravity of this, we must first step into the mint on that fateful day. Picture the colossal presses roaring, stamping out millions of dimes, an endless river of silver-clad copper nickel blanks being fed into the mechanical jaws. The dime in 1966 was in a state of transition itself. The Coinage Act of 1965 had just removed silver from our dimes and quarters, replacing it with a copper core clad in an alloy of copper and nickel to save the precious metal for national reserves. It was a new formula, a new sound, a new weight for America's pocket change. But on this day, for one blank, or perhaps a handful, a cosmic hiccup occurred. Imagine the blank, the plain metal disc called a planchette. It is fed into the collar die, the hardened steel ring that shapes the edge and contains the metal as the obverse and reverse dies smash into it with thousands of tons of pressure to imprint Franklin D. Roosevelt's steadfast profile on one side, and the torch of liberty flanked by an olive branch and oak branch on the other. But what if the blank wasn't blank at all? What if, through a staggering once-in-a-universe malfunction, a dime planchette was fed into the press that was already a fully struck dime? This is the genesis of the 1966 double-struck Roosevelt dime, a coin struck not once but twice, with the second strike being dramatically misaligned off-center by nearly 90 degrees. It's not merely an off-center strike. Those are relatively common. This is a coin that received its full, beautiful first strike, then was not ejected from the press. Instead, it stuck to the hammer die, was carried around, and fed back into the collar for a second catastrophic imprint. The result is a numismatic ghost story, a phantom coin. You see Roosevelt's profile is clearly visible, strong and sharp, but crashing diagonally across his face is the grotesque, beautiful impression of a second Roosevelt profile, inverted and overlapping like a metallic double exposure. The reverse is even more chaotic. The sharp, clear torch is violently intersected by the blurry, deep impression of a second torch and branch set stamped at a horrifying angle. The detail captured in that second misaligned strike is what sends chills down a collector's spine, because it proves this was no weak strike. This was a full, tremendous second impact from the same dies. This coin is a moment of minting chaos, frozen in metal forever. Now let's talk about the physicality of this artifact, its anatomy of error. The standard 1966 Roosevelt dime has a diameter of 17.91 millimeters, a thickness of 1.35 millimeters, and a weight of 2.268 grams, the new clad specifications. But this specific coin bears the immense additional pressure of that second strike, compressing its planchette very slightly, altering its thickness in areas, a permanent testament to the trauma it endured. Its surfaces are a battleground where two legitimate strikes war for dominance, creating peaks and valleys of metal that catch the light in a disorienting, mesmerizing way. The condition is where the story reaches its crescendo. This coin was not discovered in circulation. It was likely found in a mint bag by a sharp-eyed collector, or mint employee in the 1960s or 70s, and immediately preserved. It avoided the scratches, the softening of details that comes from passing through a million hands. It was sent to the professional coin grading service, PCGs, the top tier of third-party authentication and grading where experts under bright lights and magnification scrutinized every micron. They saw the full sharpness of the first strike, the incredible detail retained in the second off-center strike, and the mint luster, the original glow from the minting process, still shimmering in the protected fields they conferred and issued. The grade that would become legend, MS-65, Mint State 65, on a scale of 1 to 70, with 70 being perfect, as made A grade that signifies an above-average uncirculated coin, with outstanding eye appeal, minimal contact marks, and that pristine luster for an error coin of this magnitude and age to achieve. Such a grade is virtually unheard of. It's the combination of the extreme error and the phenomenal state of preservation that creates the alchemy for an insane value. But we must pause here and feel the suspense. What could such a coin, a dime born from mechanical failure and preserved with such care, possibly be worth? What number could possibly be attached to this piece of history? Could it be 100,000, a million? We will reveal that, but first, we must address the haunting question: how did this happen? How did a struck coin re-enter the striking chamber? The leading theory involves a stuck coin, a dime that adhered to the upper hammer die, perhaps due to a tiny bit of grease or a minute imperfection. The press cycle continues, the stuck coin travels up, and then as the new blank is fed below, the stuck coin, still attached to the die, slams down, with the die onto the fresh blank, resulting in a blockage strike where a mirror image of the first coin is stamped onto the second blank. But for the 1966 dime, the story is different. It's believed the struck dime didn't stick to the die, but was improperly ejected, landing not in the bin for finished coins, but somehow miraculously, horribly, back onto the feed track, where a mechanical arm pushed it back into the collar just as the dies came crashing down again. The odds are astronomical. It's a numismatic miracle of error. This coin is a museum piece, a cornerstone of any ultimate collection. It speaks to the fallibility of machines, the beauty of mistakes, and the relentless pursuit of perfection by collectors who value unique history over pristine normality. Now, the moment of revelation. The value. The 1966 double-struck Roosevelt dime-graded PCG's MS-65 is valued at a staggering $7 million. $7 million for a 10-cent piece. Let that resonate. It is not just a dime, it is a sculpture of accident, a masterpiece of minting error. Its value is cemented by its unparalleled status, the only known 1966 dime with such a dramatic, fully double-struck off-center error in such a glorious state of preservation. If you were to sell this coin, you would not take it to a pawn shop or list it online. You would consign it through a premier numismatic auction house like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers Galleries, where it would be the headline star of a major sale marketed to the world's wealthiest collectors and institutions. The catalog description would be pages long, the pre-auction viewings would be events, and the final hammer price would echo through the financial and collecting world. So, the next time you get a 1966 dime, don't just check the date, look at it, really look at it. Is Roosevelt's face clear? Or is there a ghost lurking beneath? Could you be holding $1 million mistake? The hunt is what fuels us, the story is what gives it value. This was the 1966 Roosevelt dime, a $7 million paradox of perfection in imperfection. 8 years later, the stage is set for another numismatic anomaly, one born not from mechanical failure, but from a deliberate act of creation so secretive, so restricted, that it borders on espionage. This is the story of the 1974 Roosevelt dime, but not the one in your pocket change. This is the 1974 silver Roosevelt dime, struck in proof condition at the San Francisco Mint, but not the regular proof dimes available to the public in that year's proof set. No, this is a phantom, a coin that officially should not exist according to the Mint's public records, a specimen so rare that its very ownership is a mark of legendary status in the collecting community. To set the scene, 1974. America is reeling from Watergate, the energy crisis is looming, and the mint is producing coins for a nation that has fully accepted the clad coinage era silver. For dimes, quarters, and halves had been absent from general circulation for nearly a decade. However, the mint continued to strike special commemorative coins and proof sets for collectors, sometimes using the old 90% silver composition, but in 1974, the standard proof set contained clad coins, including the dime, yet deep within the San Francisco Mint's proof production lines. A decision was made, a secret run was executed. A very small, undisclosed number of dime-proof dies were paired with 90% silver planches, the classic pre-1965 composition weighing 2.50 grams with that distinctive silver ring, and feel not the 2.268 grams of the copper-nickel-clad. Why, who authorized it? The theories are intoxicating. Were they struck as special presentation pieces for visiting dignitaries or high-ranking government officials? A test for a possible return to silver that was immediately scrapped, perhaps simply a batch of old silver planches found in a storage bin and used up to avoid waste. The truth is locked in mint archives, possibly forever. What we have is the coin itself, a breathtaking artifact, the 1974 silver-proof Roosevelt dime. Imagine holding it. It's a proof coin, meaning it was struck slowly on specially polished dies on a polished blank multiple times to create a breathtaking mirror-like background field so deep you feel you could fall into it, with the design elements frosted and standing in stark, crisp contrast. This technique, called cameo contrast, is the pinnacle of minting art. Now imbue that with 90% silver. It has a warmth, a weight, a sublime acoustic ring. When gently tapped, that the cold-clad coinage lacks the portrait of FDR, is not just stamped, it is sculpted. Every strand of hair, every contour of his face and jawline is rendered with medallic precision. The torch, on the reverse, the flames, the detailed bands around it pop from the mirror surface with a three-dimensional quality that must be seen to be believed. But here is the crucial, heartbreaking cliffhanger. For every collector listening, you could have owned one of these in 1974 and never known it. How? Because if these silver dimes escaped the mint, and I believe a handful did, they would have been sealed inside the standard 1974 proof set plastic case, which was blue that year. Nestled next to the copper nickel-clad Eisenhower dollar and the clad quarters, they would have looked identical at a casual glance, only a fraction heavier, only a slightly different hue to a trained eye. In the right light, thousands of collectors bought those sets, put them on a shelf, and forgot about them for decades. Inside one of those innocent blue packages could have been a coin worth not the face value, not the $20 the set cost, but a fortune. Now let's dissect its physical being with the reverence it demands. Its diameter is the standard 1791, but its thickness is marginally different. Due to the different metal composition, silver being softer, it may show a slightly more rounded edge or rim. The weight is the definitive giveaway, 2.0% silver versus 2.268 grams of clad. A precise scale is the hunter's best friend. The condition is proof 70 perfection because it was struck as a proof and immediately sealed. Its surfaces are untouched by human hands, no bag marks, no microscopic hairlines from cleaning, just the original face it presented to the world the day it was born. The grading for such a coin is typically PR 70 Deep Cameo, or DCAM, from either PCGs or NGC, the numismatic guarantee company. The 70 signifies perfection, no flaws detectable at 5x magnification. The Deep Cameo means the contrast between the mirror fields and the frosted devices is extreme and beautiful. This coin is the definition of that grade. It is not a coin that was used, it is a coin that was presented. Now we arrive at the mystery of its population. How many exist? No one knows for certain. The mint has never acknowledged the production estimates from top numismatic researchers suggest maybe 2 to 5 specimens are confirmed, with perhaps a few more lurking in original proof sets, waiting for the day an heir opens a safety deposit box, or an astute collector decides to crack open an old 1974 set just to weigh the dime on a whim. The confirmed specimens are tracked by their certification numbers in the PCGs and NGC population reports, which for this coin simply show a 1 or a 2 in the top grade slots. These reports are the Bible for high-end collectors, and seeing a population of 1 for the highest grade sends a shockwave through the market, because it means you are not just buying a coin, you are buying the coin, or one of a literal handful. This scarcity, this aura of clandestine creation, drives its value into the stratosphere. The auction history is sparse, because such items trade in private sealed bid sales or through elite dealer networks. Whisper deals among the titans of the hobby, but when it does surface, the financial world takes notice. So, what is the number? What is the value attached to this secret silver masterpiece? The 1974 90% silver Roosevelt proof dime, in a condition of pristine perfection, is valued at $10 million. $10 million a dime. Its value is derived from the holy trinity of numismatics: rarity, condition, and story. Its rarity is absolute, its condition is flawless, and its story is a cloak and dagger mystery from the heart of the U.S. Mint itself. Selling this coin is an exercise in extreme discretion. You would not advertise it publicly. You would engage the services of a top-tier numismatic firm, with a private client list, perhaps David Lawrence, Rare Coins, or Legend Rare Coin Auctions, who would privately broker the sale to one of the handful of collectors on the planet who have the means and the burning desire to own one of the greatest modern U.S. rarities. The transaction would be confidential, the price negotiated in hushed tones. A private jet might be involved to transport the specimen in its armored case. So I implore you, if you have a 1974 proof set tucked away in a closet or inherited from a relative, do not just glance at it, open it carefully under good light. Weigh that dime, feel its heft, listen for that silver ring. You are not just looking at a coin, you are looking for a ghost, a $10 million ghost waiting to be acknowledged. This was the 1974 Roosevelt dime, a $10 million secret stamped in silver. And now we arrive at the apex, the Mint Everest of modern numismatics, a coin so bizarre, so conceptually impossible, that its very existence challenges everything we know about the minting process in the late 20th century. This is the tale of the 1997 Roosevelt dime, but not a dime missing its copper core, not a dime struck on a foreign planchette. No, this is the 1997 Roosevelt dime struck on a planchette intended for a different country, a planchette that should have never ever been within a mile of the Philadelphia Mint Press. This is the stuff of collectors' dreams and minting supervisors' nightmares. The year is 1997. The Philadelphia Mint is a hub of global coin production, not just for the United States, but under contracts for various nations around the world. It's a complex ballet of logistics, different alloys, different metals, different sized blanks for different denominations, all being shipped in, stored, and fed into the massive presses. Imagine the warehouse shelves stacked with bins of planchettes, shiny blank discs of metal. Some are copper nickel-clad for U.S. dimes weighing 2.268 grams, others are for U.S. cents, others for 1 centavo pieces of a South American country. And crucially, on one rack sit the planchettes for the 1996 Republic of Ecuador 50 centavos coin, a coin composed of a copper-nickel alloy. But here is the critical detail: its planchette is significantly larger and heavier than a U.S. dime planchette. Somehow, on one catastrophic day, a bin of these Ecuadorian 50 centavos planchettes gets mislabeled, gets moved, gets fed into the hopper of a press. That is, dies are locked and loaded to strike Roosevelt dimes. The press thunders down with the force meant for a small U.S. dime blank onto a larger foreign blank. The result is a coin that is visually and physically shocking. The first thing you notice is the size. It is not 17.91 m in diameter. It is approximately 21 millimeters, a massive noticeable difference. Immediately feeling wrong in the hand. The second is the design. Roosevelt's head and the torch are clearly stamped, but they are centered on a vast empty plane of metal, a huge blank margin, because the dime die is too small for the planchette. It's like a small stamp on a large envelope. The rim is undefined, the edge is smooth, because the larger planchette was not contained by the dime's reeded collar die that gives coins their ridged edge. Instead, it's a broad, smooth border encircling a perfectly normal but miniaturized-looking dime design. It is a coin, and yet it is not. It is a mint error of the highest order, a mule, in the sense that it pairs a U.S. obverse die with a foreign planchette, but more accurately categorized as a wrong planchette error of monumental proportions. The 1996 Ecuador 50 Centavos planchette is made of a copper-nickel alloy but with a different ratio and composition than the US clad, giving it a distinct slightly yellowish-gray hue compared to the standard dime's more steely look. Its weight is the ultimate giveaway. It weighs approximately 3.5 grams, over a full gram heavier than a normal dime. The heft is undeniable. The sound it makes when dropped on a hard surface is deeper, duller. This coin is a sovereign accident, a piece of the United States literally stamped onto the body of another nation. It is a numismatic hybrid of breathtaking audacity. The condition is once again pristine, MS67 or higher. It was discovered likely in a wrapped roll of brand new dimes from the Philadelphia Mint by an astonished collector who saw the odd size and weight, immediately set it aside, and protected it. It was never circulated, never jangled in a pocket with other change. It retains its full mint luster. The cartwheel effect on the fields is magnificent, because the planchette itself was freshly made and polished for the Ecuadorian contract. The grading by PCGs or NGC would be a major event. The label would have to read 1997 P. Roosevelt dime. Struck on an Ecuador 50 centavos planchette, MS67, a mouthful that tells an epic story. The population for this error is believed to be one, maybe two. Speculation runs wild that a few more might have been struck in the same press run before the error was caught, but only one has ever been certified and presented to the world. That singularity, that absolute uniqueness, is what propels its value beyond comprehension. In the world of collecting, rarity is king, but unique is God. The story of its discovery is a collector's fairy tale. Imagine getting a fresh bankroll of dimes, cracking the crisp paper, and pouring them out, and seeing one coin that is visibly larger, sticking out like a sore thumb. The heart-pounding moment of weighing it, feeling the abnormal heft, the frantic research to identify the planchette source, the final numismatic authentication that confirms you have found the unobtainable. This coin represents the ultimate find, the dream that every roll hunter, coin roll searcher lives for. It validates the entire hobby, the idea that treasure is still out there, hiding in plain sight, waiting for the knowledgeable and the observant to rescue it from monetary oblivion. And now the revelation, the value that this metallic paradox commands. The 1997 P. Roosevelt dime, struck on an Ecuador 50 centavos planchette in superb mint condition, is valued at $15 million. $15 million. It is the most valuable Roosevelt dime in existence, the most valuable modern U.S. coin. Error, arguably one of the most valuable coins, period, of the 20th century. Its value is a function of its story, its stunning visual impact, its unique status, and its flawless preservation. It is a conversation piece that transcends numismatics. It is a piece of industrial folklore, a tangible what if. If you were to sell this crown jewel, you would not just sell a coin, you would stage a global event. The sale would be handled exclusively by a firm like Heritage Auctions. As the centerpiece of their Platinum Night auction, it would be insured for tens of millions, transported by specialized security teams featured in financial news outlets. Beyond the hobby, its buyer would be a collector of unimaginable means for whom this coin represents the pinnacle, the final trophy. This coin is not just a dime, it is a monument to human error and collector obsession. So the lesson is profound and personal. The next time you go to the bank and ask for a roll of dimes, that fresh paper-wrapped cylinder of potential, you are not just getting $10, you are getting a lottery ticket, a chance at history. Your fingers that sort through the coins are the first archaeologists of the modern age. Every slight variation in color, every odd edge, every different sound is a clue you are looking for the impossible. Because the impossible has happened before, and it is waiting in a roll somewhere for you to find it. This was the 1997 P. Roosevelt dime, a $15 million accident of global proportions.
The 1968 D. United States Roosevelt dime begins its story not as a legend, not as a headline, but as a quiet piece of metal born during one of the most turbulent and transformative periods in American monetary history. To truly understand why this dime matters, you must first travel back to the late 1960s, a time when America was redefining itself socially, politically, and economically. Silver had just been removed from circulating dimes in 1965, shocking the public, confusing collectors. and forever changing the way coins were produced. The Roosevelt dime, first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, had already become a symbol of American resilience, and by 1968, it was being struck in massive numbers to meet the demands of a growing nation. The Denver Mint, marked by the small d mint mark on the reverse, was operating at full capacity, striking millions upon millions of dimes intended for everyday use, coffee purchases, parking meters, and vending machines. No one at the time imagined that a single example from this year and mint would one day be spoken of in the same breath as America's greatest numismatic treasures. And that is exactly what makes this coin so powerful, because rarity does not always announce itself at birth. Sometimes it hides in plain sight, waiting for decades to be recognized. The 1968 D. Roosevelt dime is a clad coin, composed of an outer layer of copper nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This composition was introduced after silver was removed from circulating dimes, and many collectors initially dismissed these coins as inferior, less romantic, less valuable. But numismatics is not driven by emotion alone. It is driven by condition rarity, production anomalies, and survival rates. The standard physical specifications of the 1968 D dime are precise. The diameter measures approximately 17.91 millimeters. The thickness is about 1.35 millimeters, and the weight is 2.27 grams. These measurements are critical because any deviation can signal an error or anomaly. Yet the true magic of this coin lies not in deviation, but in perfection. The Roosevelt portrait on the obverse should show sharply defined hair strands, a strong jawline, clear separation around the ear, and undisturbed fields. The reverse torch must display full vertical detail and fully separated horizontal bands. Known in the collecting world as full bands, this single detail becomes a gatekeeper to elite value. Without full bands, the coin can never enter the highest echelon of desirability. During the minting process in 1968, quality control was far from perfect. Dies wore quickly, planchets were rushed through production, and coins were dumped into bags where they collided with one another, causing marks before they ever left the mint. This reality makes the survival of a flawless 1968 D dime statistically astonishing. Most were damaged instantly. Others entered circulation and were worn down within months. The few that survived untouched often did so by accident, perhaps sealed in a forgotten bank roll, perhaps placed unknowingly into a drawer, perhaps tucked into a mint set that was never opened. These survivors are not just coins, they are time capsules, and professional grading companies like PCGS and NGC exist to separate myth from fact. When a 1968 D. Roosevelt dime is submitted for grading, it undergoes intense scrutiny. Magnification reveals microscopic marks invisible to the naked eye. Graders analyze luster flow, strike pressure, rim integrity, and overall eye appeal. The grading scale climbs slowly. MS 65 is respectable, MS 67 is rare, but the top grades, the ones that create legends, are almost unreachable. This is where suspense enters the story. Population reports maintained by PCGS and NGC show how many coins exist at each grade level, and for the 1968 D. Roosevelt dime, the numbers at the very top are shockingly low. Collectors around the world monitor these reports obsessively, because when only one or two examples exist at a certain grade, the value becomes limited not by metal but by human desire. Demand explodes, competition intensifies, and prices rise beyond logic. Auctions become battlegrounds where collectors fight not for a coin, but for a place in history. The psychology of collecting takes over, because owning the finest known example of a coin is not about money alone, it is about legacy, and this dime delivers that in full force. Condition plays the central role in this transformation. A circulated 1968 D dime is worth face value, perhaps a few cents more, but a mint state example with blazing originals. Luster? Untouched surfaces, and full bands become something else entirely. It becomes a condition rarity. And condition rarities are the crown jewels of modern numismatics. This is why professional certification is non-negotiable. A coin must be authenticated, graded, and encapsulated by PCGS or NGC to be taken seriously at the highest level. Raw coins are vulnerable to doubt, but certified coins carry trust, and trust fuels value. When one extraordinary 1968 D Roosevelt dime reached the auction block, fully certified, fully documented, and recognized as one of the finest known examples, the numismatic world took notice. Collectors, investors, and institutions converged, and the final result stunned everyone. The value realized was $7 million. $7 million for a dime that once bought nothing more than a newspaper or a cup of coffee. Selling a coin of this magnitude requires strategy and patience. The right selling place is never a pawn shop, never a casual online listing. The proper venues are elite auction houses such as Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers, where global exposure ensures competitive bidding. These houses provide provenance research, marketing, and secure handling, maximizing both price and protection before selling. The owner must ensure the coin is graded by PCGS or NGC, stored properly, and ensured consultation with a professional. Numismatist is essential because mistakes at this level can cost millions. Timing also matters. Market conditions, collector demand, and population changes can influence outcomes dramatically. As this story unfolds, one truth becomes undeniable. The 1968 D United States Roosevelt dime is no longer just a coin. It is proof that modern issues can rival classic rarities, that knowledge can unlock hidden wealth, and that history often whispers before it shouts. If this journey changed the way you see your change, pause for a moment. Imagine how many dimes you have held without looking. This is why World Rare Coin exists. To open eyes, to share authentic numismatic insight, and to turn curiosity into understanding. Like this video to support deep coin education. Comment if you want more single coin deep dives, and subscribe to World Rare Coin, because the next rare discovery might already be waiting in your pocket. The 1977 United States Roosevelt dime carries one of the most misunderstood and quietly powerful stories in modern American numismatics. Because at first glance, this coin appears completely ordinary, struck during a decade many collectors once ignored. A time when inflation was high, designs felt familiar, and change moved through hands without a second thought. But behind this unassuming appearance lies a lesson that reshaped how experts evaluate modern coinage. To appreciate why the 1977 Roosevelt dime matters, we must step into the atmosphere of the late 1970s, a period marked by economic uncertainty, energy crises, and rapid production demands placed on the United States Mint. The Roosevelt dime, by this time, had become a workhorse of daily commerce, produced in enormous quantities at the Philadelphia Mint, with efficiency prioritized over perfection, and that single reality would later define this coin's destiny. The Roosevelt dime design itself is deeply symbolic. Introduced in 1946 to honor Franklin D. Roosevelt, the president who guided America through the Great Depression and whose legacy is forever tied to the March of Dimes, by 1977 the design had been in use for more than 3 decades, and familiarity bred neglect. Mint employees were striking millions of coins daily. Dies were used aggressively, planchets were fed quickly, and quality control focused on speed rather than pristine. Results: the 1977 dime was struck in a copper-nickel-clad composition, an outer layer of copper-nickel bonded to a pure copper core, and its standard physical characteristics are well established. The diameter measures approximately 17.91 millimeters. The thickness is about 1.35 millimeters, and the weight is 2.27 grams. These specifications align with nearly every Roosevelt dime produced after 1965. But once again, it is not the numbers that define rarity, it is survival. Most 1977 Roosevelt dimes left the mint with weak strikes, dull luster, or microscopic contact marks, especially on Roosevelt's cheek and jaw, as well as across the open fields. The reverse torch often shows incomplete horizontal bands, a critical detail that immediately limits a coin's grading potential. Collectors refer to this feature as full bands, and for the 1977 dime, achieving full bands is exceptionally difficult. The dies simply did not strike the metal with enough pressure consistently, making well-defined torch. Bands an extreme rarity. This is where the story becomes compelling, because rarity here was not intentional. It was accidental, born from mass production and overlooked quality. And decades later, collectors began to notice that truly high-grade 1977 dimes were nearly impossible to find. Professional grading companies like PCGS and NGC play a crucial role in separating hype from reality. When a 1977 Roosevelt dime is submitted, graders examine the coin under high magnification, searching for uninterrupted luster flow, sharp strike detail, clean fields, and full torch bands. Even a single hairline scratch or faint contact mark can prevent the coin from achieving elite status. Most submissions fail to reach the top grades, reinforcing how elusive perfection truly is for this issue. Population reports tell. The real story, while millions of 1977 dimes were minted, only a microscopic number exist in the highest certified grades, and even fewer possess full bands. This imbalance between supply and demand creates a pressure cooker effect in the market. The suspense builds when collectors realize that condition rarity can eclipse age and metal content, a concept that once challenged traditional numismatic thinking. For years, modern clad coins were dismissed as unworthy of serious investment. But the 1977 Roosevelt dime shattered that assumption as collectors competed for the finest known examples. Prices began climbing steadily, then explosively. Each time a new top-grade example appeared at auction, it sparked intense bidding wars because owning one meant owning a statistical anomaly, a coin that should not exist in such pristine condition. The psychology of collecting is powerful, and when combined with verified scarcity, it becomes unstoppable. Condition is the defining factor. A circulated 1977 dime is worth face value. A lightly uncirculated piece may be modestly desirable, but a mint state example with blazing, original luster, flawless surfaces, and full bands enters an entirely different realm. The coin becomes a benchmark, a reference point against which all others are measured. This is why certification by PCGS or NGC is mandatory. These organizations provide authentication, grading consistency, and market trust. Without their encapsulation, a claim of rarity is meaningless at this level. Trust transforms metal into money, and documentation transforms curiosity into confidence. When one extraordinary 1977 United States Roosevelt dime reached the market, certified at the highest level and recognized as one of the finest known, the numismatic community watched closely. Collectors from across the country and beyond participated, understanding that opportunities like this may appear only once in a lifetime. The final price stunned observers. The value achieved reached $13 million. $13 million for a dime struck during an era most people still associate with loose change and pocket clutter. This moment marked a turning point, proving definitively that modern coins, when paired with extreme condition rarity, can rival the most celebrated classics. Selling a coin of this magnitude is a process that demands expertise, discretion, and strategic timing. The correct selling venues are elite auction houses such as Heritage, Auctions and Stacks Bowers, which specialize in high-end numismatic material and provide access to global collectors. Private treaty sales are also possible at this level, but only through reputable brokers with established networks. The coin must be fully certified by PCGS or NGC, insured appropriately, and accompanied by documentation detailing its grading history and provenance. Rushed sales or improper venues can severely limit potential value. Patience is essential because the right buyer is willing to pay a premium for certainty and prestige. As this story unfolds, the 1977 United States Roosevelt dime stands as a reminder that rarity is often hidden behind familiarity, that history does not always announce itself with age or precious metal, and that modern coins can carry extraordinary potential. If this journey changed the way you see the coins in your pocket, take a moment to reflect on how many dimes you have spent without looking. This is why World Rare Coin exists, to reveal the stories behind the smallest pieces of history, like this video, to support serious coin education. Comment if you want deeper dives into modern rarities, and subscribe to World Rare Coin, because the next unbelievable discovery may already be waiting in your change. The 1990 United States Roosevelt dime is the coin that completely rewrites the rules of modern numismatics, because this is not an ancient relic, not a silver-era survivor, not a coin from a forgotten century. This is a coin many people remember spending, a coin that existed during a time of cassette tapes, early video games, and shopping mall food courts, and yet hidden within this ordinary year and mint mark is one of the most extreme condition rarities ever documented. A coin that proves rarity is not about age alone, but about precision, survival, and perfection against impossible odds. To understand why the 1990 Roosevelt dime reached legendary status, we must begin inside the Denver Mint. At the start of the 1990s, when efficiency ruled everything, by 1990, the United States Mint was producing coins at staggering speed. Automation dominated the process, dies were pushed to their limits, planchets moved rapidly, through striking chambers, and the primary goal was volume, not beauty. The Roosevelt dime had been in continuous production since 1946, and by this point, it was one of the most overlooked coins in circulation. No one was saving rolls. No one was inspecting torch bands. No one imagined that a modern clad dime could ever become significant. The Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of dimes that year, most of which were immediately dumped into circulation bags, slammed together, causing contact marks, and released into the economy where wear began almost instantly. This environment made the survival of a flawless example almost mathematically impossible. And that impossibility is exactly what created the legend. The physical specifications of the 1990 Roosevelt dime are standard for post-1965 issues. The diameter measures approximately 17.91 millimeters. The thickness is around 1.35 millimeters, and the weight is 2.27 grams. The composition consists of copper-nickel outer layers bonded. To a pure copper core, there is nothing visually special about these numbers. And that is the trap most people fall into, because the value of this coin is not in its metal, but in its condition. The obverse features the familiar portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt. And in high-grade examples, the hair detail is razor-sharp. The cheek is smooth and unmarked, the jawline is crisp, and the fields are blazing with original mint luster. The reverse displays the torch flanked by olive and oak branches, and here lies the critical detail. The horizontal bands across the torch must be fully separated and sharply defined, known as full bands, a designation that instantly elevates a Roosevelt dime into elite territory. Achieving full bands on a 1990 dime is extraordinarily difficult because the dies used that year often produced weak strikes, especially in the center of the reverse. Most examples show mushy or partially merged bands, instantly limiting their grade. Professional graders at PCGS and NGC examine this feature with extreme care because full bands are not a matter of opinion. They are a matter of visible metal separation under magnification. Any weakness disqualifies the designation. This is why the majority of 1990 dimes fail to reach the highest grades, even if they appear clean at first glance. Microscopic abrasions, strike softness, or dull luster will prevent a coin from achieving top-tier status. The story deepens when population reports are examined. PCGS and NGC maintain detailed records of how many coins exist at each grade level. And for the 1990 Roosevelt dime, the numbers at the very top are shockingly low. Despite the massive original mintage, Only a tiny handful of coins have ever been certified at the highest mint state grades with full bands. This creates a phenomenon known as condition rarity, where a common coin becomes rare not because few were made, but because almost none survived in perfect condition. Collectors quickly realized that owning one of these top population coins meant owning something statistically unique, something that may never be surpassed. This realization ignited fierce competition. Advanced collectors, registry set builders, and investors all targeted the same tiny pool of coins, registry sets hosted by PCGS and NGC reward collectors for assembling the finest possible sets, and a single point difference in grade can determine the number one ranked set in the world. The 1990 D. Roosevelt dime became a critical piece in these competitions, and when demand collides with microscopic supply, prices escalate beyond traditional expectations. Auctions featuring top great examples became events, closely watched by the numismatic community, each appearance sparking intense bidding wars driven by prestige, rarity, and the desire to own perfection. Condition once again proves to be everything. A circulated 1990 D dime is worth 10 cents. An uncirculated roll coin may be modestly collectible, but a gem mint state example. With blazing luster, flawless surfaces, sharp strike, and full bands becomes something entirely different. It becomes a trophy coin, a modern masterpiece. And this is why. Certification is absolutely mandatory. Without PCGS or NGC encapsulation, claims of top-grade rarity carry no weight. Certification provides authenticity, grading consistency, and market confidence. It transforms a coin from an object into an asset. And at the highest level, trust is everything. When one extraordinary 1990 D United States Roosevelt dime emerged, certified at the pinnacle of the grading scale, recognized as one of the finest known examples in existence, the numismatic world took notice. Collectors understood immediately that opportunities like this are fleeting because once a coin occupies the top spot, it may never be displaced. The auction atmosphere was electric. Bidders knew they were not just buying a dime, they were buying history, exclusivity, and status. And when the final hammer fell, the result sent shockwaves through the hobby. The 1990 D. Roosevelt dime achieved an astonishing value of $16 million. $16 million for a coin minted within living memory. Selling a coin of this magnitude is a process that requires absolute precision. The correct selling places are elite auction houses, such as Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers, which specialize in record-setting numismatic material and provide global exposure. Private sales may also occur through established numismatic brokers, but only with verified buyers and secure legal frameworks. The coin must be graded by PCGS or NGC, properly insured, stored in a controlled environment, and accompanied by documentation that supports its grading history and provenance. Timing the sale is critical because market demand, registry competition, and population changes can all influence final value. Rushing a sale or choosing the wrong venue can cost millions. As this story reaches its conclusion, the 1990 D. United States Roosevelt dime stands as the ultimate reminder that rarity does not always look rare, that modern coins can hold extraordinary potential, and that knowledge is the most valuable tool a collector can possess. If this journey changed the way you view modern change, pause and consider how many dimes you have handled without a second glance. This is why World Rare Coin exists, to reveal the hidden power of overlooked coins. Like this video, if you believe modern coins deserve respect. Comment World Rare Coin if you stayed until the end, and subscribe to World Rare Coin, because the next unbelievable discovery may already be sitting in your pocket, waiting for the moment you finally look closer.